Welcome. You're listening to Daily Deep Dive with your hosts, Lucas Santiago and Melanie Devereaux.
All right, so you've brought us some more reflections today. These ones center around the readings for September 23rd. We're diving deep into some ancient wisdom to see how it can help us live more justly.
Timeless principles for sure, and they get straight to the point, don't they?
No kidding. Proverbs especially never minces words. It's refreshingly direct, you know. Want a good life? Here's the deal. No sugarcoating. And today's passage is no exception. It starts by saying, don't withhold good. Seems straightforward enough, but I always struggle with what that looks like in practice.
It's easy to get stuck in good intentions, right?
Yeah, but Proverbs, it pushes us further toward active compassion. Thinking about helping isn't enough, it's about actually stepping up.
You got an example.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need a little nudge to get me from thought to action. Sure. Proverbs specifically mentions giving generously, when you have the means. It's about not waiting for that perfect time or coming up with excuses. You see a need, you can help. Then you do it. No hesitation.
Oof, that one hits home. I can think of a few times I've overthought things. Told myself, oh, somebody else will handle that.
It's human nature, right? But Proverbs, it challenges us to really look at those moments when we hesitate. Are we really letting someone else take the lead? Or are we just letting our own comfort, our own convenience get in the way of doing some good?
And this isn't just about giving away money or things, is it? It's bigger than that. It's like generosity of spirit.
You got it. And along those lines, Proverbs also warns against stirring up conflict. It encourages us to, aim for peace. Our actions, our words, they have ripple effects. It's a powerful reminder that causing harm, even if we don't mean to, can have consequences that reach far beyond us.
Which makes me think about something that always jumps out at me in this passage. On the one hand, we're told not to cause harm, to work towards peace. But then it also talks about God being like stern with the arrogant. That's a pretty stark contrast.
Interesting juxtaposition for sure. I think it highlights how complex justice really is. Peace doesn't mean being passive. Sometimes confronting harmful behavior, even if it makes waves, it's necessary for the greater good. Maybe this contrast is there to make us look inward. Is our desire for peace coming from a genuine place of wanting harmony? Or are we just afraid to rock the boat? Are we letting our own egos stop us from confronting injustice?
That's a tough one for sure. So for someone listening who's trying to navigate their relationships, make ethical choices day to day, what's the key takeaway from this part of our deep dive?
I think it comes down to this. Cultivate that spirit of active generosity in what you do, how you approach things. Look for those everyday opportunities to make a positive impact. Maybe it's a kind word, lending a hand, even a donation, but also be mindful of your effect on others. Strive for peace, absolutely, but don't let that become an excuse to stay silent when you see injustice happening.
A balancing act. It always seems to come back to that, finding the balance.
Exactly. Balance between speaking truth to power and building harmony in our interactions. Balance between helping others and recognizing our own limits.
Yes.
It's a journey figuring out how to live justly. A lifelong one, I'd say.
So Proverbs gives us that practical foundation, that call to action. And then we come to Psalm 15, and it's like, okay, here's what that actually looks like.
A blueprint for righteous living, right? Want to be close to God? Here's the checklist.
And they don't make it easy. It's all about integrity inside and out, living what you believe.
Exactly. Psalm 15, it highlights things like blamelessness, justice, being truthful, qualities that show you're in tune with God. What really strikes me is how relevant this still is, especially now when we're just bombarded with information, opinions everywhere you look.
It's overwhelming sometimes, right? Everyone's trying to get your attention, tell you their version of the truth.
Right, and that's why this focus on honesty, it's so important. Like that verse about speaking truth from the heart. It's more than just not lying. It's about cultivating this deep honesty in everything you do, everything you say.
That's a tall order. With all the spin, all the agendas out there, how are we even supposed to figure out what's true anymore?
Tough question. And I think this is where, the wisdom of the saints can be helpful. St. Gregory the Great, for example, he talked about how true justice, it's not just about doing the right things outwardly, but about the inner state of your heart.
So it's not enough to just go through the motions. You got to mean it, right?
Yeah.
Our actions should be a true reflection of who we are on the inside.
Exactly. Aligning your actions with your values, developing a discerning heart, questioning things, reflecting, really seeking truth beyond the surface. That's more important now than ever.
Makes you think about how we engage with the news, social media, even just everyday conversations? Or are we really trying to find the truth? Or are we just looking for something to back up what we already believe? It's a constant process, that self-reflection. And Psalm 15, it doesn't stop at personal integrity. It also brings up social justice, like that line about refusing bribes that harm the innocent.
That one always gets me. It's a level of integrity that goes beyond just looking out for yourself. It's about doing what's right, even when it costs you something.
Knowing that justice isn't just following the rules, it's about sticking up for the people who are being hurt, even when it's hard.
And that is hard, no question. So how do we even start to put that into practice in our daily lives? We might not be facing down corrupt officials, but I'm sure we've all had those moments where we have to choose between what benefits us personally and what's actually the right thing to do.
For sure. Those dilemmas, they come up in all sorts of ways. It's amazing how these readings all connect, isn't it? We've gone from those practical tips in Proverbs to the tough questions about social justice in Psalm 15, and now we get to Luke's gospel. And here, the message gets really vivid, with this whole image of hiding a lamp under a basket.
Powerful imagery, for sure. And it cuts right to the chase. It's not enough to just have faith, like some kind of hidden treasure. We're supposed to let it shine, make it something the world can see.
Right. It's like having this amazing source of light and then sticking it under a basket? What's the point if no one else benefits from it?
Exactly. And I think that's where that responsorial verse from Matthew comes in. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father. Our actions, they become a reflection of that inner light, drawing people towards the source.
So it's not about showing off or anything, but about letting our actions point people towards something bigger. Which makes me wonder, how do we become those lampstands in our own lives? Where do we even begin?
It's a good question, and I don't think there's one right answer. That's kind of the beauty of it. The light, it's going to look different for everyone. Depends on what your gifts are, what your life is like.
So it's about figuring out what makes you you, what gets you fired up, what are you naturally good at, and then how can you use those things to make a positive impact?
Exactly. Maybe your light, it's about serving your community. Or maybe it's through your creativity, or even just the way you love and support the people around you. It's about being genuine, letting that light shine in a way that feels true to who you are.
And that actually connects to another line from Luke that always gets me thinking. It's that whole idea that everything hidden will be revealed. Sounds kind of ominous at first, like we're all going to be put on trial or something.
It does have a certain weight to it, doesn't it? But, I think it can also be kind of empowering in a way, like a reminder that being genuine, being authentic, it matters. We're not supposed to go through life hiding who we are, pretending.
So it's not just about being afraid of getting caught doing something wrong. It's about striving to live in a way that lines up with what we believe, knowing that who we really are, it's going to come to light eventually.
Exactly. And that fits perfectly with that quote from St. Catherine of Siena you mentioned. Be who God meant you to be, and you will set the world on fire. When we embrace our true selves, even the messy parts, and try to live by our values, we become like these powerful lights.
It's freeing when you think about it like that, to stop hiding and just, live authentically. And speaking of freedom, Luke leaves us with one more thing to think about. This one always makes me scratch my head a little. To those who have, more will be given, and from the one who has not, even what he seems to have will be taken away. Kind of harsh, don't you think?
It definitely makes you stop and think. I think what it's getting at is this idea of stewardship. It's not about being punished or rewarded. Really.
Yeah.
More like there are natural consequences to how we use what we've been given.
So if we hoard things, whether it's our talents, our possessions, our time, they'll just kind of disappear. But if we use them generously, if we invest them in things that matter, they can actually grow and multiply.
Exactly. It's realizing that true abundance, it comes from sharing, from using what you have to make a difference. And that's not just about money. It's about our time, our energy, our love, even just ourselves.
Now, that's a powerful thought to end on. So to everyone listening, as you reflect on these readings, on everything we've talked about today, here's something to consider. What gifts have you been given? What could you be sharing more freely to let your own light shine? What can you do to make a difference? It's a lifelong journey, this whole shining our light thing, full of opportunities to learn and grow and light up the world around us.
It really is. Thanks for diving into these reflections with me today.
Absolutely. Until next time.
Thanks for joining us on Daily Deep Dive. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss a chance to explore the Word with us.